started it, and it's what's gonna fucking finish it, right? I'm gonna do it. Obviously, finding steroids and finding weed, that kind of thing went out the window real quick. I was like, I don't need no police. This is it. I'm done. And the penny just flipped, and I was just in the worst place possible. At that point, every single thing in my life was geared towards being the best bodybuilder possible. So,
chasing after the pro card. Let's talk about that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I was honest. I was transparent. All the pressure that I had of social media, it was really, really hard to deal with that first year. And I didn't really understand how to communicate that to anyone else. One moment feeling on top of the world because everyone's giving it to you. You're fucking amazing, Josh. You're going to do this.
It's like you almost rise to a new level and you almost ascend away from all of the noise.
Those are some big lessons. Those big lessons those years is still the moment that I'm chasing now. You know, I actually feel like I want to cry right now because that is the moment.
Remember, I watched the whole YouTube. I watched everything.
I was there on the floor in tears, and all I could hear was her, and I was like, that's just a beautiful moment. The best moment of my life to date, for sure. Like, Cal, if you're watching, you should have done this because I'm doing it.
How do you manage it all?
I had to, or I was going to lose all of it.
Yeah.
You know, it was too much to run on myself. No one who has ever achieved anything hasn't faced self-doubt. That belief was the hardest thing to overcome because not everyone believed in me when I started.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Walk with Bex. Welcome back into the studio. I'm here with another very special guest. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome back to Dubai as well.
Thank you.
This isn't the first time we've met in Dubai, and from what I can gather, you are here pretty permanently now?
That's it. The business move is here. The contract is signed on my apartment for the next 6 months, so at least the next 6 months is the future.
And very exciting, very, very exciting to have you here. So as I would do with all of my guests, if somebody's watching this right now or listening on the audio version and they don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself?
Wow. How do I start?
I normally do an intro for people, but I was like, do you know what? I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you do a number of things and you're an extremely successful coach, athlete, entrepreneur, business owner. So give it to us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So who am I? I don't know. Many things. I think for one, and what I'm probably most proud of, I'm a professional bodybuilder. That's kind of what started this journey to be the best in the damn world. I'm going to say it like that is kind of what I set out on this journey to do. And then obviously along that came the social media side. So I do a little bit of social media. YouTube.
A little bit of social media. You're pretty freaking successful on social media, let's be real.
So I do the YouTube thing. We do Instagram, all the videos. Very kind of educational based.
And probably one of the most consistent, I would say.
I appreciate that. I knew that was one of the secrets, so I tried to emphasize the consistency part. And from that I knew, before that, I kind of knew bodybuilding, it's a little bit hard to monetize sometimes if you're just doing the bodybuilding side. So I kind of knew that a brand had to come somewhere. And they're born 1MR, which is my baby. That is my kind of entrepreneurship. That is my e-commerce business. We sell all things, I would say bodybuilding accessory, not fitness, bodybuilding accessory, and the odd clothing as well. So do that as well. And of course, the coaching side comes with it as well. So that is
It's managing an awful lot. And being a professional bodybuilder and having lots of things to juggle, that's not easy. So the move to Dubai is to make things easier, obviously, for the business and to give you more time to be able to work on all of these things? Or is it the Dubai lifestyle that appeals to you?
You know what, I'd be lying to say if it wasn't a little bit of Dubai lifestyle. You know, it's a better environment, not only actually for bodybuilding, it's a better environment. There is people who are doing what I'm doing at a higher level, you know, and I think and say if you're around those people, they're only going to drag you upward, right? If you're around the opposite, they might drag you downward. So that was a big part of it. Being able to put more money back into my businesses and grow them, right? I'm not paying as much tax here.
Yeah.
Again, no tax here, which is kind of crazy. And the convenience of this place makes everything easier. Do I need to worry less about my food? Yeah. Do I need to worry less about the gym? Yeah. Do I need to worry less about the little nits and bits that kind of come between the bodybuilding and the business? Everything facilitated here easier. So
it makes it super conducive, and it's something that my husband and I have learned from being here is that the more you're here, the more you're around those successful people in bodybuilding, in business, the more you aspire to do even better. And it, like you said, you're in the circle of people that are all going after it. that's something I will say about Dubai. You know, from anybody looking in who doesn't know what it's like to live here and all they see is, you know, all the shiny stuff and like the beach clubs and all the rest of it, it's full of hardworking people.
Yeah.
People are working really freaking hard here. And I'm really excited to see that you've made that move, and I think it's only going to take you further. And what I want to talk about is I want to go right back to the beginning, because we had a conversation off air about some of the people that inspired you on your journey, not only in bodybuilding, but also with YouTube, you building your brand, your business. So where did it all start? Take us right back to the early Josh days, the Natty Josh days.
Yeah, the OGs will remember the Natty Josh days, because I was proud and stood tall and was never going down the assisted route. So almost to the day, probably 10 years ago, 20 years old, I really kind of started this. The people who I looked up to, the OG fitness scene, Christian Guzman, Matt Ogus, Legends of Aesthetics, those guys, I just wanted what they had. I didn't want to, you know, be a professional bodybuilder then. I didn't want to build any type of business or anything then. I just wanted what they had, was to make videos and have a living off it. So those kind of guys inspired me to pick up the camera, which is kind of where it all started. I had a old school, must have been a GoPro Hero 6 maybe, what are they on now, 12? So it must be like a 6 or something, or a 5. And I would make these little videos in my university dorms. I'd introduce all my friends. I used to do little workout tips here and there when I probably didn't know what I was even doing.
A bit like Christian did back in the day.
A bit like Christian did back in the day. And I'm so glad I did, because looking back at those to see how far I've come is amazing. If anyone wants to go on my YouTube channel, go on there, go to oldest video first and just click on some of those first ones. You can see the quality. It was like 420 HP or whatever it was. And yeah, it was a good time. So that's kind of where it all started, with those people. Like literally, I actually did this to be a social media influencer initially. Yeah. And through that, I found my passion at bodybuilding. So.
And where did the shift occur? Where did it change for you, where you were like, I'm doing this for YouTube, I'm getting lots of interaction, people are following me, liking my videos. Where did it change to, actually, I really like doing this shit?
I can remember, actually, it was Mr. University.
No.
That was the competition that I entered.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did.
My God.
So I would go into the gym, would always be filming, and there was this big round table as you walked in, and I kind of walked past it one day and I saw this figurine of someone just posing, and it said, it was all in gold, Mr. University. I thought, well, I know what Mr. Universe is. So what's Mr. University, you know? And it was in 5 weeks' time. So I thought, wow, that looks cool. What have you got to do? Okay, you got to submit some pictures, and you got to get lean like a bodybuilding competition. So I started Googling what Rob Riches, I don't know if anyone remembers him, he was one of the OGs of the industry. I followed his diet identically, even though he is so much more muscle mass than me. He was like 10 years older than me. I followed it identically, did his cardio regime, did his whole peak week. I did a 4.5 week cut because it took me 3 days to decide. But one of my good friends, he just kind of elbowed me into it, and he was like, come on, let's do this, you know? So I had to try to explain to my parents that I was about to get into a pair of pants and get a tan, get a glaze, and then stand up on stage for people to go, yeah, no. And I loved that process. Like, it was hard. Yeah, it wasn't as hard as what I've done now, but at the time,
you learned a lot.
I learned a lot. I learned how to push myself a little bit more, and I don't know whether I'd done that before. I don't know whether I'd been pushed against a wall and thought, can I do this? And then like broken through that wall and carried on. Not that the wall was very high or very thick, but it was my first wall.
It's relative to where you were at.
Exactly. So I did that, and I remember being backstage and pumping up and just talking to these people and seeing their faces light up like mine did. And I went, oh shit, I'm not the only one
that's really excited by this.
And that was it. That was it. Like I was hooked then. Before I'd walked out on stage, I was hooked by the camaraderie that kind of came with it. Something that I'd lost from my rugby days and my football days back in the day, where I kind of got a little bit injured and kind of came away from competitive sport. And it just, that's what I needed. And that's what I kind of found. And yeah, getting up on that stage, I got second at the overall. Craig Ritchie beat me. Craig Ritchie's actually, he's a big YouTuber now as well. He does CrossFit now.
What university was this?
I was at Loughborough University, but it was Mr. University for the country.
It's like
for
basically
everyone.
students.
Yeah, all the yeah.
I've never even heard of this.
All students. The name changed because they got copyrighted, obviously. But it was all the students that could apply across the whole country.
No way.
And yeah, did that, came second, did it again next year, won it. And then...
Of course you did. The competitiveness kicked in. You were like, I got to go back and win
Get
this.
second, come on. Yeah, and just fell in love with that process. That time, did a longer cut, learned how to pose properly, learned that actually copying someone's diet is not always going to work for you. So I did my own thing that time, and over that period of time, documented the whole thing.
And on YouTube, obviously.
On YouTube,
Yeah.
actually just solely YouTube. It was before Instagram was even there. So
How old were you then?
I was 20. Wow. So I still kind of got into this, I guess, relatively now old. Right, 20 was pretty old. But I fell in love with bodybuilding at 20 years old, yeah.
I love that you say that that's old. Wait, guess
I
when
mean,
I
old
started
to start,
bodybuilding?
right, yeah.
Guess when I started bodybuilding?
I don't want to.
Do you know how old I am now?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not
started
going to guess
was,
either.
I started when I was 27, 28.
Wow.
And I've been doing it 10 years.
There's a lot to achieve.
Yeah. So.
You know what? When I say old, I think C-Bum, who's 30, he's got 5 Olympias.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bundy had 4 at 26. I'm like, oh shit, I'm 30 now. I'm not even at the Olympia yet. That's kind of why I say old.
No, I understand.
Relative to the end goal.
Exactly. So once you'd finished those competitions, did you see university through? Did you finish your degree?
Yeah, finished university.
What did you study? Sorry.
I did criminology and social policy.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
You're very, very smart.
I don't know about that. I scraped through. No, I did that. I wanted to go into the police. If you had a degree, you got fast track promotion. You know, I got told you can retire at 50 and have a good pension. It's kind of my dream. Obviously, finding steroids and finding weed, that kind of thing went out the window real quick. I was like, I don't want to be no police. Then I did a master's as well, but I did the master's like out of fear because I was just petrified to get a real job, to be on my own, to be away from my friends, to be away from just the comfort blanket of university, of, you know, being given money to stay in the same place, and, you know, have a laugh every single day, pretty much. So I did my master's out of fear in international business.
Which probably stood you in good stead, let's be real.
Oh, I don't remember any of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I did it for the wrong reasons, and I didn't really like show up. I was always good at exams, which just let me do what I needed to do. Like I didn't really learn. I just could remember and put down on a piece of paper and pass.
That's so irritating. Darren's exactly the same. He literally said that. Like he would never study for a paper. He'd literally go and memorize it and then be like, "Yeah, I remember the answers now."
Yeah. I remember the answers. I didn't necessarily understand them.
Yeah.
So it didn't give me anything, but other than the degree and the masters.
Yeah. So then, finishing university, what happened next?
Finishing university, by that time, I was a couple years deep into the bodybuilding side, a couple years deep into the social media side, maybe at 6,000 or 7,000 followers on Instagram, maybe 8,000 or 9,000 on YouTube. And by that time, people had started asking, can you help me with my fitness? And, you know, can you help me? Can you help me do this? I want to get in shape. I want to do this. I want to look like you. And actually, before the vastness of online coaching, I was online coaching, you know, and I was doing it. Not to a level that could put any food on my table, but enough that would give me an extra couple jumpers a month or something like that. You know, an extra couple of new bits of Alpha Elite kit or something like that.
Some protein.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, protein supplements,
exactly
that. So I had to go get a job. I actually worked for Lululemon straight out of university. I finished at 23, so from 23 to 24-ish, I worked for Lululemon. That was just basic standard role, like on the floor. Educate. Unfortunately, actually, I learned a lot about Lululemon because they had a lot of fitness culture in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that in London?
That was in London, yeah. So they actually have some really good schemes in there. Like you have to do a class every week. You get like sweat equity. So you go sweat, they'll give you like 50 quid. And I was like, cool, that's my gym membership. They'll do little things like that. I learned a lot about materials, which kind of came later in my career when I brought on one of Mars. So I learned about materials, quality of product, returns process, all these different things and that I was kind of picking up in the background, all while building that online coaching, you know. And I started off at £50 a month, so you can imagine how many clients you have to even make a living.
Yeah.
Realized that in order to give the time and get the time that I needed to grow that type of the business, I had to stop what I was doing at Lululemon. Fortunately, and this is where the privilege of my life comes in, my mum had my back. So I set up shop. I quit everything. I left I had a moment I remember in the shop floor. I was at my 6:30 shift. Got to about 7:30. The store was about to open. I thought, this is it. I'm done. And the penny just flipped, and I went, this is it. I'm done. I walked out. I'm done, mate. I'm not going to spend one more minute putting effort into something I don't want to do. So
and even living in London must have been tough, because London is expensive.
Oh God,
you weren't getting paid a lot from Lululemon. No. Online coaching hadn't taken off.
No,
that's a hard living.
I was break even every month, if not asking my dad for 50 quid here and there. No meals out. No, like I got clothing from Lululemon, which kind of kept clothes on my back, to be honest. Lived in Bethnal Green, the worst area of Bethnal Green.
Oh God.
It's a long story about London, but I'm very glad that I got out. I'm very glad that I had my mum there, you know. So I left, I finished off my rent. She paid my final 2 months of rent because I had a break clause, 6 months, I had to give 2 months notice. I left at the 6 months. She fortunately paid off for those 2 months because I was just in the worst place possible and I didn't want to do that anymore. So came back home and I full sent into the online coaching world. That's when the flip switched and I filmed everything. Yeah. Always. And Instagram was my everything and YouTube was my everything.
And the thing is, when you're up against it and things are really tough and you have to make a decision in life and you've got to take one road or the other, when you're forced to do something like that, you really show up because you have to. You're like, I have to make this work. Yeah. You know, it's the same when I quit teaching and went into online coaching. I was like, there is no other option. I'm not going back into teaching. I'm doing this. So you go full send. Like you said, you get on YouTube, you continue with the Instagram post, you think about what you're going to talk about on your social media, and you're one of the most active online coaches when it comes to talking educationally. Like you even put your training videos on your story and give tips for that still now, like even however many years later, because you know that that's going to hit your audience and be beneficial and helpful to others. So when you made that shift and you went back home and you started really pushing online coaching, would you say that it was more the audience that you had on YouTube or more the audience on Instagram? Because it sounds as though your YouTube was actually a lot bigger than your Instagram to begin with.
Yeah, it was the YouTube. I hit 10,000 first, 20,000 first, 30,000 first, 50,000 first on YouTube. Because that's what I lent into first, because that's kind of what I liked. And I think that definitely helped me because Instagram, you can curate a lot. A lot of it is, how do you look? How can you make yourself sound? And, how kind of quick with it you can be. YouTube, you've got nowhere to hide. Podcasting, you've got nowhere to hide. They're buying into you. They're buying into your brand. And, they're buying into you as a person. Like they're learning your morals. They're learning how you speak. They're learning your information. And I think, the stars aligned and people bought into it. And that's kind of where the first kind of like push of coaching started to come.
And I don't know about you, but I find that I get people from YouTube to Instagram more than Instagram to YouTube. I can push my Instagram on my YouTube on my Instagram, but people won't always. Whereas the YouTube audience and the YouTube family and the fan base there, I find is so much more loyal. And it's actually, I end up getting people come to my Instagram from YouTube saying, I've been following you for years. And I'm like, I've had Instagram for years and they didn't even know. I don't know if you find it's the same. Like the audience you have there, the comments, the subscribers, the way in which they interact with you, I think is far more, how can I put it, genuine and authentic because they see the real you behind the camera. Yeah, do you find the same?
For sure. Like when you do see those comments, some of them bad, of course. But when you do see those comments and you can read that comment and this person knows you. Yeah. They've read your emotion, they know your morals, they know your history, and they've got a really good response. And you go, this guy knows. This person here has bought into it and they know who I am. And they're the people that really, really matter to me.
Yeah. Whereas Instagram, it is very quick, flash in the pan. You either go viral, you don't. You have a good image, you don't. Exactly. Does it get seen? The algorithm, everything gets a bit twisted up. Sure. So when you then started really pushing on social media, when did you start really going heavy into bodybuilding and kind of think about going down the route of doing, let's say, more bodybuilding shows, not Mr. University?
Yeah. So when I left Lululemon, actually a big part of leaving Lululemon as well was just because it was so hard to maintain bodybuilding. I couldn't eat enough because I was walking all day. I couldn't grow. I'd go to my training after 7.5 hours of walking around all day and I'm like, I'm beat. And I've always said, and I will say to this day, like that's my number one goal, is that bodybuilding goal, that bodybuilding dream. It's what started it and it's what's going to fucking finish it, right? I'm going to do it. So I had to, lean into something that gave me more time, more energy to bodybuild. So really when I left, that's when the switch really happened. I thought, no, I've got all the time in the world. I can eat, sleep, drink, and breathe bodybuilding now. So
you can align your schedule to how you need it to be exactly for work and for bodybuilding.
Yeah, so that made a big difference. By that time, UK BFF was still the pro card route. So I'd been competing with them as a junior from like 22, 23, I think 23 it runs out. And I was like second in Britain then at that time for UK BFF. And I thought, that's the route I'm going to go. Right, I need to really grow now. I'm a man. I'm going in against the men. You know, I can be 24, but against 35-year-olds. So I took a little bit of a year out when I was when I left from Lululemon to really try and grow, because that's at the time that was the thing. Take a year out to really make improvements. Still is the thing, by the way. Came back, did the men's side of things, got 5th when I was 24 in the UK British finals. And I knew at this point that the people I was competing against were assisted. They were using anabolic steroids. So, like, of course, the little demon on the shoulder kept kind of like, you know, you should do it, it's time. But I definitely fought against it for a while. I was very proud, and I believed and said to myself at the time, I'm going to do it naturally. I'm going to be a pro naturally, and then I'll worry about it. And the genetic card wasn't there, if I'm honest. I just didn't have the genetics to do that. There are some people that can, for sure. Very few of them, but for sure they can do it. And I was halfway through another year out. So bearing in mind, this is 2 years off from stage to stage. I thought I'd take another 2 years off stage to stage.
Wow.
Now, that's 4 years pretty much like in a surplus naturally. Okay, well, actually, the gains I've got from year 1 to year 4, if I do that again over another 4 years, that's 8 years. I'm 29 years old, and it's not enough. It's not enough, and I'm going to be 30. And then you know, I started to rationally depict my goal. And after a good long period of time, talking to my parents, talking to my partner, I made that decision to go down the assisted route. And that's 25 years old, so it's only been 5 years so far. That was 25 years old, and that was, at that point, every single thing in my life was geared towards being the best bodybuilder possible. So.
And you would have done it in the most sensible way, I'm sure, in terms of getting all your blood work done, having a look at all of that, doing it with a coach. Who were you coached by at the time?
So that was Cal. So I was very lucky that, because I had obsessed over bodybuilding for so many years and also been part of the coaching come up, I knew who the best coaches were. I'd done months, close to a year of research on anabolics, how to start, what to start off with. At that point, JP's website was absolutely booming, still is booming now. And even he at that time had moved away from the standard 500-600 milligrams of testosterone to 250, 300.
Yeah.
So at that point, everything in my space was telling me to start quote unquote correctly.
Yeah.
And I got Cal on board. We did the blood work. He administered my first dose. I did that for like 6 or 7 months straight, didn't change anything.
And the thing is, because you had everything else in place, training was there, food was there, routine, consistency, sleep, recovery, you know, you wouldn't have needed to go too much, let's say. You know, the smallest amount is exactly what it says on the tin. It's assisting you with what you've already got in place. It's just like supplementation. People say, should I be taking supplements? I'm like, is there to supplement already a good diet, a good training protocol? Yeah. And so with you, you probably blew up pretty quickly using very little, which I think you did.
Yeah, I mean, I think back, I don't think I did. I think,
but that's your perception.
Yeah, that's my perception.
I remember watching this and thinking, flipping heck, you look massive. It was like he's the Viking.
Yeah.
You had this, like, people were calling you the Viking for ages.
Big old beard, I had the long hair.
You did.
And I lent into it quite nicely.
It suited you.
But yeah, I did that the right way. Fortunately, like, Cal was and is now, but was like the forefront of that side. And I also kept true to my little 20-year-old self and documented every single thing. And I think that was really unique in the industry. There's a taboo about it. The only people talking about it were already mutants. Like, JP is a pretty intimidating guy to someone who has never taken steroids. And I was the bridge. No pun intended, but I was the guy who bridged the gap, who not told you how to do it, but told you how I did it, the things that I did. And I was very lucky to be doing it right. And I was a pretty good example of how to do it. And I was honest, I was transparent. Of course, no one fucking believed me at the start, how much I was taking. Everyone's like, no, you're lying, blah, blah, blah. Of course, it's going to come with anything that you ever do. And I think that was like the extra bit of gasoline on my fire. And I think making that transition so openly and honestly, people I think really valued that.
100%.
Yeah.
And everything grew from then, I think, as well. And then chasing after the pro card. Let's talk about that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Quite a journey.
yeah, it was quite a journey. I think especially that first year when I didn't get it. And I was that guy who was probably under the illusion, I'm going to take this stuff and it'll be easy, I'll do it. No. Like, you still have to dedicate everything. And you still have to sacrifice relationships, friendships. You have to learn things that you didn't know you had to learn about yourself emotionally, how to handle yourself in those moments when you've got all these different hormones running through your body, all this stress running through your body of a prep, all the pressure that I had of social media was, I don't know whether a lot of people go through that same amount of pressure. At the time, every single comment, every single message to me was, you're going pro, bro. That's it, you're done. Easy. And I didn't do it. So to kind of fail that while I kind of like felt all this external pressure, I don't think it was a case of external pressure got to me. I just wasn't like good enough at the time. But it was really, really hard to deal with that first year. And
what year was that?
That was 2018.
The following year, I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember my first kind of road to pro, and I documented the whole thing on YouTube, and I probably put too much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And equally, I had the same feedback that it was like every single show is like, you've got this, and it was second.
Yeah,
second.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wasn't even second. I was getting obliterated, like, and rightly so. Like, I just wasn't at the level. The only thing that the pressure did was it leaked out into my personal life, and that was what I didn't know how to deal with.
Talk to us about that.
I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to control the emotions. I didn't know how to control the pressure. I didn't know how to rationally think through issues. Like, when you're in those heightened states of super hungry, and you're playing with drugs that mess with your hormones, mess with your temper, mess with your reaction time, whether that be positive or negative. It was so new to me, and I didn't really understand how to communicate that to anyone else.
Yeah. And
that really affected things. I'm not gonna lie, it really affected things with my partner, my current partner. You know, we're still together, so it didn't ruin everything. But it was very, very difficult to let her understand what I was going through, because I didn't really know it myself. And you kind of got these mix of emotions of one moment feeling on top of the world because everyone's giving it to you. You're fucking amazing, Josh. You're going to do this. You're thinking, yeah, I can do it. And then the next day, waking up and looking at yourself and thinking, I'm not. I'm going to let all these people down. I'm going to let myself down. I'm going to let her down. I'm going to let my mum down, who thinks, you know, who is, bless her, just as naive as these people. She's not a high FBB pro judge, and she's like, oh my God, my son's going to do it. This risk is all worth it. And then you when you don't achieve that, and you feel like you've let those people down, the turmoil afterwards, and coming off that post-show high, and obviously coming off steroids as well, it was another unknown. I just did not know how to be. I didn't know how to control myself, my emotions, or anything. So those were some big lessons. Those years. But, you know, collecting myself. Cal was very, very good at that time. He supported me a lot, and my relationship a lot. He actually, you know, helped me understand what I was going through, how it happens sometimes, and, you know, the noise is just that. You know, it is just noise. Yeah. And that second year, when I eventually did it, yes, it was twice as many people saying it. It was 60,000 people saying it instead of 30. But then it felt like noise. You know, no disrespect. And I said this to everyone, like, no disrespect to you guys. I love you all. You're putting me where I am. You're putting food on my plate. You're making me who I am. But it doesn't matter what you say. You know, what matters is what I think. What matters is what Cal thinks.
What the judges think.
And what happens on that stage and what those judges think. And, yeah, that was...
Do you think you had to go through that first year to make the second year not necessarily better, but where it needed to be? Mentally and physically.
I'm very glad it did happen that way, because that moment, it is still the moment that I'm chasing now. You know, I actually feel like I want to cry right now, because that is the moment that I'd waited for so long, what felt like forever. I worked so hard, put so many things on hold, sacrificed everything to get there. And it wouldn't have been as sweet if I hadn't gone through that way the year before and had to go through those hard learning curves, and I was very happy with the way that I conducted myself the whole way. It felt like this is the moment. Everything felt right. And even though I didn't win it on that first show and I came second, and I knew
it was coming.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I knew that I was good enough. I knew that I was on another level this year. And I knew that these people that I'd been competing against the previous year, they wouldn't have even stood a chance if it was again, you know?
It's a new level of confidence, and it's not arrogance. I think some people confuse that with arrogance. And I'm not saying that about you at all, but I think when, like you said, you've gone through those hard moments, you've pushed through a prep and you haven't got it, and you know your physique needs work, you know perhaps the prep could have run smoother, perhaps you didn't conduct yourself as well. All of these different things, like you said, go through your head, and then the next time you enter a prep, it's different. It's like you almost rise to a new level and you almost ascend away from all of the noise.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could describe it.
Exactly.
When I was on that prep for when I got my pro card, I didn't think about it. Yes, I documented it on YouTube, but I wasn't ever saying road to pro. I was like, I just want to do this and I just want to be my best and let's just see. In the back of my mind, yeah, I know that's what I want, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm just going to focus on the daily things and I'm just going to stay present in the prep. I think that's how I kind of described it. Would you say that it was similar?
Exactly.
I loved the whole process.
Yeah.
Every bit of sweat, every bit of cardio. 85 minutes in the morning at 4 a.m. Yeah, I'm there for it.
Yeah,
I was just so hungry for it and in it.
Yeah, it didn't, the more was better. The harder it was, the better it felt. I just knew. I knew that I was at a level, and Cal did as well. You know, would send those photos back and forth and be like,
no one's touching
this. Like, this is good enough to be a pro. Like, I knew it was another level when you get there, but I knew this was it. And yeah, Alicante, Amateur Olympia, to do that.
Such a big show.
Such a big show. And I won the whole thing. I won the overall.
I remember. I watched the whole YouTube. I watched everything.
It was just every single thing that I can imagine. And bearing in mind, I had hyped this up in my brain, this moment, thought about this moment thousands of times, thousands and thousands and thousands of times. What's it going to feel like? What's it going to smell like? How am I going to feel? Am I going to be tired? What am I going to eat? I had thought about every single scenario 1,000 times, and it was better than every single one I imagined. Better than every single one. And that moment
when they called your name.
The moment when they call your name. He said my name wrong, but
what did he say?
Big man.
Mate, you were big.
Yeah, I was big. I'll take it. Maybe he just got distracted by the size. No, I heard Bridgman. I didn't hear nothing that time, and I just, you drop to the knees, and it was a real sweet moment, bittersweet. No one was there apart from my girlfriend because we took everyone out to the Portugal show, which was a week before. I didn't quite get it, and I was so gutted that everyone couldn't see it. But to do that moment with the person that had been so hard with, for the person who'd been there every day, you live with, and
made it more special.
Yeah, it made it so much more special. But the whole crowd was cheering, of course. But the only scream you can hear, I don't know what that thing is in your brain that lets you do that.
You tune
was
into
just
it.
her. That's all I could hear. She, whoa, and I could just, boom, I could hear it, and I was there on the floor in tears, and all I could hear was her, and I was like, that's just a beautiful moment. And it was like my brain just made this moment even more perfect for me. And it was 11 p.m.
Yeah,
I was washed out, I was dehydrated, I was tired, and all of it went away, and I just lived in that moment, and it was just the best moment of my life to date, for sure.
I feel like I'm going to cry now as well because I just relate to that so much. But thank you for sharing that. And I think, like you said, it makes all those hard times worth it. I know everyone says it, and there's probably people listening now that followed your journey, followed my journey, and they're going after similar things, and they think, oh, when is it going to come? And it's like everything in your life leads you to exactly where you need to be. Exactly. And I truly believe that. And I don't know if you're philosophical or not, but like you even being here in Dubai right now, everything you've done up to this point has led you to this moment. Everything you did up in that prep, the previous prep, led you to earn your pro card. And so now you're on a new journey. Tell us about being pro and how that differed. That's a different journey altogether. Like once you're pro, you're like small fish in a big pond.
I know. It's back to square one. It's back down the ladder, back at the bottom of the mountain. And fortunately, that's where I love to be. Like, yeah, that moment's sweet. Yeah, it's the best moment. But that moment isn't as sweet with all that climb before and that little suffering, right? So for it to feel as good, and that moment I'm sure comes when I win my pro show or qualify for the Olympia, it's not going to be as sweet if I don't have to work for it again. If I don't have to, you know, eat shit again, go down and crawl through the mud again. So,
and then we're moving into new territory as well, obviously.
So I gave it a go. And you know what, this classic journey, I'll be going classic physique this next time, but this classic journey has always been in the back of my head. Just never close enough that I could see it, because it's just they're big guys, you know, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot more years down the line of muscle gain. And you know, did that pro season, I'd say not last year but the year before, and it was a relatively good first season. You know, I had first call outs at Tampa, first call outs at Texas, first call outs in England as well. But I'm a realist, and I could see that I just don't have it in men's physique. You know, for whatever reason, and anyone who's versed in men's physique versus classic, like you take any of those top 10 men's physique guys, you tell them to do a front double bicep, like they probably sink away and don't look too good. For whatever reason, I came alive when I did that. You know, and when I was hitting those front poses, yeah, I was a good men's physique guy, but it just, the calling was the classic. So I said to myself, I'll give it one more go. I actually just did one show last year. And I stood on stage, I looked at the two guys who beat me, and I said, those guys are not good enough to get anywhere in the Olympia. No disrespect to them. And they didn't. They came third, fourth, fifth call-outs. I would have been less, you know? So I didn't want to kill myself and chase a dream that I knew probably not possible. So I called it there, and I said, right, this is my calling to go to the next level. So I've taken this year off, going back to the year off like we talked about back at the beginning, but taking a year off to really put some real muscle tissue down, and then we're going to give the classic a run. And
you get to train legs like full send.
Actually, I trained it the same because my legs are always big. So
they were. I was going to say, were they not already bursting in the shorts? And now with the criteria where the shorts got to be like a little bit short, like, come on, mate. They'd be tight on you now. Let's be real.
They would.
So that's really exciting. And so with this kind of year off, and obviously making the decision now to really push some serious muscle, you've also been pushing your businesses as well. Tell us about One More.
Yeah, so One More.
Where did that even start?
So it started off as my actual coaching company before. It was called JBF Brigade, the Josh Bridgman Fitness. And then I knew I needed a word to congregate everyone. So I said, everyone who's in the team is part of the brigade. That's kind of what the thing was at the time. And I used to have these hoodies where I'd do Q&As every day, and I'd call it Expenditure Gang. And we'd walk around, would do expenditure, get together, like walking as an expenditure, expending energy.
Are you serious?
That's literally where it started. And I bought 50 hoodies, sold 50 hoodies. I thought, I'll restock these. Did 100 hoodies, sold 100 hoodies. And then I just kind of thought, what did CG do? What did that guy do? How did he become the head of Alphalete? Well, he was CG Fitness first. Why did he change to Alphalete? He changed to Alphalete because it's not attached to his name.
Yeah.
Right. If you attach it to your name,
it's not a brand. It's
not a brand. It's stuck to you. It's attached to you. You know, where you go, it goes. But if you can cut that tie, it can float even further than you can. You know, that's why, you know, companies like Alphalete have athletes who are bigger than CG under it, and that's why the Alphalete is maybe more known than he is at the moment. So I kind of caught on to that maybe 5 years ago, and then I was trying to think of a name, and actually one more rep, right? While cliche in bodybuilding, come on, one more rep, bro. Actually, is what my friend used to say to me during our dark times at university when things were very difficult. When he didn't bodybuild, he just understood bodybuilding. When things were very difficult, when I had anxiety, when I struggled with, you know, I had a lot of social anxiety. He's like, come on, bro, it's just like taking another rep. It's just like one more rep. And we used to say that mantra together. So that's kind of where I coined it, 1MR, one more rep. And obviously it fit perfectly with bodybuilding, but also like it is a lifestyle and it is a mentality.
Yeah.
You can apply one more rep to everything.
You can always do
There's
one more.
always one more, and whatever it is, it doesn't have to be bodybuilding. It can be business, it can be families, it can be relationships. So I kind of felt that to the core. We coined that, and changed all the logo and stuff. Got the logo made, and it was super simple branding.
It hasn't changed in that time, has
Nope.
it? It's been the same, yeah.
Literally been the
consistent.
same. Just I'm not gonna. I was gonna say the font, but it's literally just Avenir bold font, super simple, one MR dot.
Yeah.
And then kind of how it manifested into where it is today.
It started with the accessories, wasn't it?
Yes.
You getting really annoyed with shit accessories in the gym.
So
Literally.
yeah, I could kind of give like Cal and the Muscle Mentors a shout out here. I'm surprised they didn't do it. Cal, if you're watching, you should have done this because I'm doing it. But he would prescribe reverse banding and cuffs. And when that wave started kicking off, what's reverse banding? What's cuffs? I don't know. So I was like, can I
D handles, all this stuff.
Yeah, let's go buy some cuffs. Oh, well, these are giving me fucking burn every day. How's anyone bigger than me getting these arms on? Because they're tough on me. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Well, how do I reduce that? All right, let's get some. Has anyone got any softer ones? Soft cuffs. Comes up with a manufacturer. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Neoprene. Okay, that's better. Let me get some over. So I got some. Tried to use them. I think these are way too small. Can you make them bigger? Can you make them wider? Can you make them longer? Yeah, we can do all that. All right. Well, can I have 20 of them? Yeah, sure.
Can you put this logo on it?
Yeah. Seriously, can you put this logo on them? Can you make it blacked out? Yeah, no problem. So bought 20 of them, sold 20 of them. I thought, oh, well, people are onto this. And got more than like 50 messages. Maybe I'll buy like 200 of them. Bought 200 of them, sold 200 of them. And that was where, again, I've said this a few times, where the penny dropped. And I realized that we've all been buying accessories from non-bodybuilding brands, Amazon, and just putting these packages together. We're buying climbing ropes from climbing places for daisy chains. Why has no one made them? We're buying D handles from this company and carabiners from a climbing company. We're putting them all together to make, reverse bands. Why has no one done all of that? So that's kind of where that dropped, and we slowly but surely, as the revenue grew and the profit grew
and the demand grew.
I managed to, let's buy these now. I actually started the whole company with investing £1,000 from my coaching business over, and that £1,000 I have never withdrawn anything at any point. Sold 1,000, made 2 back, sold 2, made 5 back, and at this point we've sold over 25,000 pairs of cuffs.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's just over 2 years of selling those cuffs.
And that's not just in the UK, that's global.
Worldwide.
Amazing.
Which is insane. And we've kind of just lent heavily into curating your normal accessories that you'd see all these professionals use to bodybuilding standards.
And are there any new ones in the pipeline? Do you feel like you've covered everything now?
Yeah, that's the challenge. That is the challenge. And actually, I've never been afraid of doing something that's already out there because there's only so many ways you can do a knee sleeve. Well, I can make it look better. Okay, cool. So I'll do it. People want to support one Amar over some CrossFit company. Why would they not? It's bodybuilding, right? So if you are a bodybuilding version of an accessory that is worldwide, like, why would bodybuilders not lean into the bodybuilding brand? They will. But we definitely have some more unique things. The thing is, the more unique the item, the more custom it is, the much higher number you have to buy, and also the much more expensive it is to make in the first place, and the longer it takes. So,
are you still using the same manufacturer from that very first click? I wonder.
Yeah.
Are you actually
for the
same one?
For the cuffs? Yeah. Everything else obviously a little bit different. For those cuffs, So we don't.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And we've never had a bad batch from them. I've had samples from other companies who can offer it cheaper. It's never as good. No. So I've never budged on them.
You're very loyal as well.
And they've been very loyal to me. So
that's amazing. And you've branched out into clothing. We talked about this a little bit off there.
Yes, we have. So I definitely don't have, I was saying this to BEX earlier, I definitely don't have the passion for the clothing side of things. Love wearing good clothes. But like, I love like Lululemon, I love Alphalete, and like, to be, like I said a second ago, with being able to get that premium stuff, you got to buy thousands of it. Like, I can't sell thousands and thousands and thousands of t-shirts,
especially when you want it to be good quality with clothing.
When it's that quality,
and when you've got a reputation, if the clothing is shit or it falls apart or something's wrong, immediately that's affecting your business. So it's like you said, to get that high quality and to buy in that amount, it's a huge investment. It's a big investment.
Exactly. So I've been through phases. We have done the storytelling of here's our clothing line, of this is our leisure line, and this is for leisure this, and you know, you can wear this around the house and blah, blah, blah. And I think the quality is okay to get, but when you haven't got the drive and passion like I have with the accessories, like I obsess over bodybuilding, I obsess over being optimal. So that is so clear in the way we market it, it's so clear in the way I talk about it, it's so clear in the way it's designed. And when it doesn't transfer over as much, I've had to rethink about it, because we've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes where I've overbought clothing, undersold the clothing, and I get left with, honestly, like 20,000, 30,000 pounds worth of stock that I'm never going to sell.
Yeah.
You either write that off, give it away, or sell it at a hugely discounted price, and people aren't happy with it, and it dampens your product or it dampens your brand.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I've made that mistake a few times, unfortunately. So I've had to rethink that strategy, and I'm still working on it, but I'm thinking along the lines of, we're still going to do clothing, so you guys can still represent us, because I think people want to wear it on their chest sometimes.
I agree. Yeah.
But we're going to make it more unique. We're going to make it more quirky. We're going to make it more exclusive.
Bespoke, like one-off pieces and stuff.
More one-off pieces. For example, we did NBA jerseys last year when the NBA playoffs were on. We tried to get a World Cup jersey done, but we couldn't get in time. I actually made Arnold Classic t-shirts as well. Yeah, they came like the 28th when it was on like the 26th. So I got left with like 200-300 t-shirts.
You need a better PA. Come on.
I know. I mean, that was all my fault at the time, so I'm trying to run so many things at once. We've fixed a few of those issues now, so that's kind of what we're going to lean into a bit more now.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next question. How do you manage everything? Because being a bodybuilder, a business owner, and an online coach working with, I assume, a lot of clients, both lifestyle and prep. As far as I know, you're doing it yourself. You don't have other coaches working under you currently. How do you manage it all?
Like a pyramid. Bodybuilding's number one.
Yeah.
That gets done first. So meal timings are there. Training time is there. And then I just fill in the gaps with what needs to be done. Most importantly, clients need to come first as well. Yeah. I've got to look at the business as, while Wanamar could do triple the revenue, doesn't necessarily triple the revenue of my coaching, doesn't necessarily mean it's triple the profit. No. Right? So when you lean into online coaching, and guys who know about online coaching, one client is 100% profit. You know, like, what are you going to buy? A laptop? A microphone? Like, you run out of things to buy after 5 clients. So that takes my priority. Also, it's people you're dealing with one-to-one. Like, so it's their lives, their goals, their aspirations. So that leads my priority. So check-ins, talking to those guys. Once that's done, I can focus on Wanamar. I've built Wanamar now, fortunately, to a team that I have people that run my whole customer service team, so I don't need to be on the Instagram all day. I don't need to reply to returns. I have my email marketing guys, so I don't need to do anything with emails. Loki, who's in the corner over there, does all of the filming and also now the graphic work for Wanamar, so I don't need to focus on that. I can just give guidelines. My partner at the moment is helping me with things like sales, things like pricing, things like stock control. So it's kind of like, I could and have done before, stepped away from Wanamar, and it just runs. It wasn't like that at the beginning, but I quickly found out that juggling too many balls, one gets dropped, and when you drop one, you drop another one, and then when you've dropped a few, everyone can see it. Yeah. Everyone can see it. Especially when you're such a public figure, and also when you're going through something like a prep. If those systems are not in place, and you're on prep and you've got prep brain and you're hungry and you're tired and doing these things drop very, very quickly. Exactly. And like you said, you've got to prioritize like a pyramid. It's like, if your systems and routines are in place for your bodybuilding, your meals, and your own training, then it's, like you said, clients next. And if someone else is supporting, or you have a team of people supporting 1MR, then that's going to run seamlessly, because ultimately you're going after another mega goal. So like, you have to have everything running like clockwork. Exactly. So that was a big part of the end of last year, the first first 4 or 5 months of this year was just putting systems in place. And there was a lot of consolidation, honestly. Like actually, last year we probably did more revenue than this year, but I had to consolidate. I had to, or I was going to lose all of it.
Yeah.
It was too much to run on myself. I was missing buy dates. I was overbuying. I was, like I said, I missed the Arnold Classic, like things like that. It's not a £100 mistake. That's a £10,000 mistake. Like and then you start doing those mistakes and your business is gone when you pay tax after that. So, I had to do it. So we spent 4 or 5 months at the beginning of the year consolidating, putting the team in place, hiring the right people. Yeah. And now we can breathe and now we can flourish.
And would you say that you're more passionate about NMR or coaching?
Oh God, it's so difficult.
That's hard. They're very different.
Difficult. They're very, very different. Fortunately, they can run side by side. I can limit my coaching clients. There's something about the satisfaction that you get from changing someone's life.
Yeah.
It's like irreplaceable. It's irreplaceable. While it is insane to be in Dubai, where I don't live or I've just moved, to look up from a set and see someone with my straps on.
I saw that on your story yesterday.
I can believe it. And he's from Australia. He was here for like a week, so they're already all the way over there. That feeling is unbelievable because it kind of has people as part of it. But the satisfaction of coaching is very, very like fulfilling. It fills my cup quite a lot. I just know that the one-on-one side of things that goes hand in hand with the social media, I'd be a fool not to capitalize on it as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, with your clients, you know how much it means to them because it means so much to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so if you were to look back on your journey, even though it's only been 10 years since you properly started, you're just turned 30, or
yeah, just turned 30.
Yeah,
31 this year.
31 this year. What would you say are some of the biggest kind of mindset shift moments? You've kind of touched on some of them, but the ones that were like, this was a real turning point in my life. What were some of the big ones for you?
There's something to be said for like, pretty cliche, but believing in yourself while no one else does, right? Having goals that scare the people around you, that type of thing, and having kind of unwavered self-belief, confidence, while like nothing impossible, of course, but like shooting for the stars, aim for the hit the moon type of thing, right? Throw that ball as far as you can get it, and I bet you it goes further than if you just kind of like threw it like that. So there's something to be said for the belief, because I've been up and down in self-belief. And one thing that Cal always used to say to me when I was questioning whether I could do this and had those times when I failed that first pro card run was, no one who has ever achieved anything hasn't faced self-doubt. No one at the top has ever not faced it. So it's normal to face it. It's just what you do in those moments. And that kind of rung true very, very much in those deeper, harder moments of, what are you going to do then? What are you going to do? Are you going to lean into it, or are you going to give up? And I think that's where the lesson that discipline teaches you in bodybuilding, that you have to do it. It's not a how, it's a just do it. Like, you just do it. And not everyone that you could pick up off the street could go and do these bodybuilding preps, and
be relentless.
You're just relentless. You just do not stop. So yeah, that's it.
That's what it says there.
I love it.
Relentless.
So being able to be relentless, but believe in yourself was just was the biggest thing. That belief was the hardest thing to overcome, because not everyone believed in me when I started. Trying to convince I guess our generation's parents, who don't understand social media at the best of times, that you're going to go stand on a stage in pants and bronzed up, and you're going to make a living and eventually end up paying them money and keeping them afloat and doing this and that. Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to ever do.
In most cases, they're like, when are you going to give this up then? Yeah. Oh, when's this hobby finished?
Exactly. So,
they don't realise you can actually make a living out of doing this.
So until my mum, bless her, always believed in me, but trying to convince my dad on that side, until the money started to happen a little bit, like having the unwavered confidence, or just know that you can do it, was one of the biggest things. And one other thing that so I don't talk too much on this point, is delegation is not failing. Delegating what you cannot do is getting somewhere quicker. Yeah. Right? I used to edit everything. I used to you know, film every single aspect of my life. Now, unfortunately, I have Loki here to do it for me because it offers me up so much more time, takes off the stress, takes off the pressure, and I can focus on being number one, the best bodybuilder I possibly can be, and then the business side of things that I can focus on. I can lean on my strengths, ones that come naturally to me, ones that I've learned, ones that I know, and the things that I don't know and need to learn or find hard to learn, it could be a waste of time. You know, so delegation is never failing. Handing over the reins of something is not letting go.
It's giving you more time to focus on the other things that you can do.
And it's only going to help the whole thing as a whole.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's a really good message to end on. But I have one last question. If you would like to be remembered for something, what would it be? What would you like people to know you for, Josh?
I would say...
I know what you're going to say. I feel like I know what you're going to say.
I don't
because it hasn't happened yet.
I was going to say I was the guy who did it.
Yeah.
You know, I was literally what I was
Got to the Olympia.
I was the guy who did it. I was the guy who said it from day one. I believed it from day one. And he believed it until he did it.
And we're going to end on that because I think I'm going to play this clip back when it happens and I'm going to send it to you and be like, you fucking did it. Because I believe in you too and I think you will. Someone that's that determined and that relentless, there's no way you can't.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you could make this podcast and I'm sure this will be the first of many because you now live here. So we'll probably have you back on when you're back into prep mode. But how long until you start prep? What's the goal? How long in this off season?
I'm going to say May-ish. I'll start prep.
Okay. I'll get you back on when you're like 6 weeks out.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all of the good things. Drop a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening to the audio version, please share this on your story and tag me and Josh. See you in the next one.